Have you ever wanted to add those really slick, interactive timelines to your B4X apps? You know, for tracking project progress, showing historical events, or maybe just the steps in a process? Well, the B4X Daisy timeline component makes it unbelievably simple. Let's jump in and see just how powerful this thing really is. So just look at this for a second. On the left, you've got this awesome vertical timeline, perfect for scrolling through a history. And on the right, a compact horizontal one, which would be amazing for a user workflow. I mean, these look totally custom, super complex, right? Well, what if I told you we could build both of these from scratch in just a few minutes with like hardly any code? It's true. All right, so where do we even begin? Let's start at the very beginning, square one. We're going to get a timeline on the screen and add our very first item to it. And trust me, it's way easier than you'd think.
It really just boils down to these 3 simple steps. That's it. First, you initialize the component. Second, you just add it to a parent view, like a panel you already have on your screen. And third, you start adding your items. That's the whole loop.
And when I say add items, check this out. It's literally just this one single line of code. You call add item, you give it a unique ID so you can reference it later, then some text for the start side and some text for the end side. That's all there is to it.
And bam, this is what you get, instantly, the result of that one line of code. You see step 1 on one side, user submits form on the other, all connected with a line and a little marker. You get immediate visual feedback. You're turning code into a clean UI element in like a second.
Okay, so we've got an item. That's awesome. But now let's talk about the big picture, the fundamental structure. The cool thing is you are not locked into just one layout. You get to choose between vertical and horizontal. We'll see how that works.
And would you believe it, all comes down to a single property, orientation. You just set it to vertical if you want one of those long scrollable histories, or you flip it to horizontal for process steps that need to fit across the screen. One property completely changes everything, giving you total control with almost zero effort. It's fantastic.
Now, a default timeline is great and all, but let's be real. You want it to match the look and feel of your app, right? Of course you do. That's where theming and customization come in. Let's dive into how you can style pretty much every part of this timeline.
Just think of this as your personal style control panel. You can change the color of the lines, the markers. You can use your app's theme colors like primary or success. You can add a box shadow to make the items literally pop off the page. And naturally, you can control the text size to get it looking just right.
Right out of the box, this is what you get. It's clean, it's functional, you've got your default gray line, and a really subtle shadow on the items. It's a great starting point, a clean canvas. But let's make it ours.
First up, let's inject a little bit of color here. We're just going to call the setLineColor method and pass in our app's primary theme color. It's just a simple one-line change.
And boom! Just like that, the entire timeline updates. Every single one of those connecting lines now has that vibrant primary color. It instantly feels like it belongs in our app.
Okay, next up, let's give these items a bit more presence. They feel a little flat, don't they? We can add some depth by calling setBoxShadow and giving it a bigger value, something like LG for large.
And just look at the difference. The items now have this really nice, noticeable shadow, which makes them feel like they're floating just above the background. This is such a great trick to draw the user's eye and create a much more dynamic, layered interface.
So, a static timeline is useful for sure, but what makes this component truly powerful is its ability to change in real time. So let's look at how you can dynamically update items long after they've been put on the screen.
I mean, think about it. You've built your timeline to track a process. Your user actually completes one of the steps. How do you show that change visually? You don't want to have to rebuild the entire timeline, right?
So here's our starting point. We've got a timeline item that's still pending. See that simple little dot in the middle? That's the default state for an item that hasn't been marked as done yet. It's a clear signal that something still needs to happen.
And the key to all of this is just one method call, setItemDone. You just pass in the ID of the item you want to change and a Boolean, true for complete, false for incomplete. This single command is what triggers the whole UI update.
And there you have it. The dot is gone, and in its place is this really satisfying checkmark icon. The component handles that whole visual switch for you. This gives the user clear, immediate feedback that their action was a success and the process is moving forward. It's perfect.
So let's do a super quick recap of what we just covered. We saw how ridiculously easy it is to get started. Literally just 3 steps. We learned how you can flip between vertical and horizontal layouts with a single property. We explored all the deep customization options for colors, shadows, and text. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we saw how to dynamically update items to reflect changes in real time.
With all this power and flexibility at your fingertips, the possibilities are pretty much endless. You could track an order from placement all the way to delivery, map out a project's biggest milestones, or visualize a user's entire journey through your app. So the only question left is, what story is your timeline going to tell?